How crazy was this season versus the seasons past?
Our jersey sales were up 1,193%. The Caitlin Clark effect is real.
Caitlin Clark didn't just return to the court, she returned like a tidal wave crashing through the entire WNBA. The moment fans learned she was cleared to play again, ticket prices exploded like confetti at a championship parade.
The tickets where people believe she will be playing, and that's starting to make the ticket prices go up, and up for her anticipated return.
One game saw prices leap from $25 to over $100, and that was just for nosebleed seats. In some cases, prices went from practically free to better bring a second credit card. All because of one player. Clark's comeback wasn't just a sports update, it was an economic quake. Before her injury, the Indiana Fever versus Washington Mystics game had a baseline ticket price of $41.
And just to show how crazy popular she is and the actual impact she has on the WNBA, ticket sales are plummeting with her out. In fact, ticket sales are down 70% in many places. Fever played the Mystics 2 nights ago. The cheapest ticket before her injury was announced was $41. After her injury was announced and people knew that she wasn't going to be playing, the lowest ticket price dropped to $3. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. The WNBA doesn't quite realize what they have in Caitlin Clark. She is the absolute golden goose, the golden ticket. She is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They must protect her at all costs.
After news broke she wouldn't play, that price nosedived to $3. You heard that right? $3. That's cheaper than a WNBA logo keychain. But once Clark was cleared again, those same seats vanished off resale sites in minutes. But here's where things get wild. It's not just the ticket apps breaking down, it's the entire sports economy around her. Scalpers are suddenly treating Fever games like Beyoncé concerts. Some fans even joke about auctioning kidneys just to sit courtside. Clark is moving the league like no one else. She's not just drawing attention, she's dragging it by the collar. And yet, even with that kind of pull, some folks still act like her presence is no big deal. That's where the real story begins. The Indiana Fever weren't supposed to be this popular. They were a rebuilding team, quietly trying to climb out of the bottom. But the second Caitlin Clark signed with them, everything changed overnight.
It brought visibility to the whole team of the Fever and to the WNBA. But if we just want to keep it in Indiana, we look at ticket sales sold out every night, over 17,000 fans in our games at home. When Caitlin announced that she was coming out into the draft on a Thursday afternoon, from that time to Sunday night, we had over 6,000 phone calls, people wanting to buy season tickets. But even something as simple as our terrific mascot, Freddie Fever, his appearance requests went up 150% this season. So you talk about the Fever, the team, which is what we've been working on. 5 years ago when I got this job, we put together a strategy, said commit, compete, and contribute. Those 3 C's will drive us to a championship culture. I couldn't guarantee a championship because that's not my job, but I could help create a culture that would lead to a championship win. So you've got to have the culture before you can have the win.
Her return wasn't just about basketball, it was about visibility. ESPN, ABC, and even local stations scrambled to adjust their schedules. Games that used to be buried behind cornhole tournaments and poker nights were suddenly in prime time. But what fans did next stunned everyone. Once Clark's name was confirmed on the active roster, thousands of people flooded ticket sites. Within hours, entire sections were sold out. It wasn't just Indiana either. Cities like Chicago, Atlanta, and New York saw a massive bump in demand. Just because she might be on the floor. The WNBA had moved the Fever's June 7th game from the Wintrust Arena to the United Center, a venue with over 12,000 more seats. Why? Because Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark had become the league's new box office battle. Before her injury, tickets were going for $86. After news of her injury hit, that number plunged to $25, a $61 drop. Just from the chance she wouldn't play. That's the kind of influence rarely seen in any sport.
The Sky and the Fever were supposed to play in Chicago in about a week on June 7th. The opening ticket price was $86 because you have the Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark showdown that is now box office. Yeah, those tickets are now down to $25. Down to $25 after the injury announcement. And it's supposed to take place in the Bulls Arena, the United Center. as opposed to the normal Wintrust Arena. That's about a 12,000 seat difference, give or take. So how bad is this going to look now that the Clarkonomics factor is not factoring in? I mean, do you think they're even going to get remotely close to halfway sold out? Or do you think this is going to be rough? I mean, those ticket prices are nice, but there's a reason they dropped 71% in 48 hours.
Yet some players still don't get it. They complain about attention and act like she didn't earn it. But the numbers don't lie, and neither do the empty seats when she's not around. And it gets even crazier from here. Let's talk about what really hurts the WNBA. And it's not Caitlin Clark getting too much attention. It's the league not protecting its most valuable player. Since her return, Clark has taken hard fouls, body checks, and off-ball hits that would have earned flagrant calls in the NBA. Yet game after game, she's told to play on, like she's in a gladiator match instead of a professional league. And this is where the league drops the ball. The WNBA is sitting on its most marketable star in 2 decades, and they're treating her like she's just another rookie. There's no clear push to promote her games, no major campaigns to build her brand. Instead, league officials act like her success was part of a carefully built business strategy. But fans know the truth. This wasn't a boardroom plan. It was a cultural moment that Caitlin Clark created with her game. Meanwhile, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is giving interviews and writing op-eds about strategic growth pillars and partnerships, claiming credit for the attention the league is getting. But in her own articles, she only mentions Clark's name once or twice, as if she's a background character in a story she's carrying.
Kathy, explaining why she is solely responsible for the boom of the WNBA. Folks, I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. The commissioner of the WNBA on transferring the league ahead of a breakout season. And what was that plan that Kathy Engelbert put in place? We developed a strategy with 3 pillars. The league would think player first. Wow. Drive stakeholder success. Kathy, you are a revolutionary. And work on transforming the fan experience. You are a visionary. Kathy Engelbert, in this long drawn out article, goes on and gives herself credit for why the WNBA has finally entered some type of mainstream conversation, has finally entered some type of casual viewing experience. Yeah, I'll turn it on. It's about damn time. But Kathy Engelbert, in her naivete or in her delusion, she takes credit for it. Instead of saying it's because of Caitlin Clark, instead of saying it's because of the person from Iowa, instead of saying it was because of her, Kathy says, oh, it's all me.
That's not just tone deaf, it's delusional. Clark didn't get here because of press releases. She got here by dropping 40 points in college, leading the country in viewership, and selling out every arena she steps into. The league didn't create that spark. It's just lucky to be near the fire. The biggest lie being told right now? That this was all part of a bigger plan. Kathy Engelbert wants to act like the WNBA's rise was fueled by corporate strategy. But let's test that theory. Remove Caitlin Clark and watch the entire system collapse like a Jenga tower missing its bottom row. Viewership would plummet, ticket sales would tank, sponsors would pull back. Because it's not a growth strategy that's filling arenas, it's Caitlin Clark's presence, plain and simple. Now here's where it really gets uncomfortable. While Engelbert is giving speeches about equity and teamwork, Clark is out there getting hacked with no foul calls, elbowed on screens, and shoved on rebounds. And when she finally reacts, she's criticized for not respecting the vets. It's a twisted setup. The rookie is doing the heavy lifting while getting none of the protection. And that's not just bad optics, it's bad business. Instead of focusing on building Caitlin's stardom into something legendary, the league seems more focused on keeping her humble. But here's the truth. Clark doesn't need to be put in her place. She already earned it, and she brought the whole WNBA with her. And still, the jealousy grows. Some players post vague tweets, others give cold interviews, all while Clark continues to draw numbers they never dreamed of. Instead of lifting her up, they're dragging their feet, missing the chance to transform the league into a global force. Even Clark's mistakes are turning into headlines. When she misses a 3, it trends. When she gets blocked, it's a talking point on sports radio. When she takes a charge, it's a viral clip. That's not media bias, it's magnetic impact. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to be perfect to stay relevant. She just needs to show up. And that's where the power really lies. This isn't about ego, it's about influence. When Clark scratches her nose on the bench, 5 blogs start asking if she's injured. That's how deep her grip on the culture is. And whether some players like it or not, it's Caitlin Clark's name that's getting their games on national television for the first time in a decade. That kind of pull is rare. The WNBA hasn't seen this type of mainstream obsession since, well, ever. Not even legends like Cheryl Swoops or Lisa Leslie drew this kind of instant cross-platform hype. Instead of leaning in, parts of the league are pushing back. But the more they resist, the more out of touch they look. Clark is bringing in fans, money, sponsors, and relevance, and some still act like she's the problem. Here's the brutal truth. Without Clark, the season goes quiet. Without her, merchandise stops flying off the shelves. Without her, most of these viral moments don't happen. She's not just a rookie, she's the lifeline, and the league needs to act like it before it's too late.